just got done training. That is the first time I've said that in a very long time. I don't even know how long it's been. My schedule has been completely ridiculous, obviously, for the last month. So anyway, I am back in my house. I just finished 21.1, which for those of you who do not know what I'm talking about, I will go ahead and I will post that workout right here. So it wasn't too bad. It's very shoulder intensive, and I have had shoulder surgery twice, once on each side. I have a right bicep tendinosis and I have a left bicep tendinosis, and I had my AC joint repaired, and I had a rotator cuff repair. My cuff was not torn, it was just like loose, so they just like tightened it all back up, but I have obviously some things going on there. No, it was a good workout though. Short, to the point, 15 minutes. Nice thing about those types of workouts is that the clock will save you, which is really awesome. It's not the kind of workout that you have to go until you finish. There are certainly benefits in those workouts, and I don't mind them. But this way, it kind of helps you kind of keep things moving if you know you've only got a certain amount of time to get the workout done. So anyway, I just realized that the TV is on, so I'm going to go turn that off. Be right back. Okay. Much better. Much, much better. Anyway, so not a bad workout. Jumping rope is harder than you think. Just kind of, So my calves are on fire, my shoulders are on fire. It's good. Top and bottom. Anyway, so just a quick update on what the hell is going on here. I'm sure if you caught my blog from the 22nd, you know that my dad's wife died unexpectedly on the 21st. We did find out from the medical examiner that she did have a heart attack, right? Some kind of cardiac episode, which is kind of what I suspected probably was happening. She had said for a couple of days before she passed away that she did not feel well, and she wasn't a fan of doctors. And I think that just comes from like her mental health issues and her substance abuse history, just speculation on that part. So I obviously turned around and went right back home, which was fine. And my brother had the privilege, the responsibility, something of telling my dad that, that Claire had passed, and my dad did not believe him at first, but then we worked through that. And I think I mentioned that probably in a couple of my little short uploads, but we worked through that. And then on the 24th, we got my dad placed in what would have been his long-term care facility. And it's very lovely, and he had a very nice room. And I talked to him on the 25th, maybe, or the 26th, which is Friday. I think it was the 26th. And I talked to him again on the 27th, which is Saturday. And then on March 1st, the nurse called me, and she said, I think we need to get your dad signed up for hospice. And I was like, what? Because I had just talked to him and he seemed fine, like normal, all the things. And then she said, your dad stopped, he started to refuse medication. And that would have been like that Saturday, at some point. And so I said, does that include the medication that's keeping him alive, which is the stuff for his AFib and for his congestive heart failure? And she said yes. And so with the Lewy body, we had periods of time with my dad, and the Lewy body was like the sprinkles on top of the cupcake. It wasn't even the frosting. Like the cupcake was like all the physical things that had happened to him in the last like decade, and then the frosting was probably like the congestive heart failure, which is more recent, like in the last couple of years. And then the sprinkles was like the Lewy body. Like, since we're here, let's just go ahead and add that too, And so, so when she said that, I was kind of like, So he has gone through those periods where he was like suspicious of his medication, and so he would like not take it, but it never went more than like 8 hours. Like he would refuse like some of his morning meds, but then he would take them again in the afternoon, and we just sort of worked through it. And that was just kind of a normal thing that I had come to, kind of understand and learn with my dad over the last month, right? So I was kind of like, how did we get from Saturday where he's like upset with me? Upset, he wasn't really, but he was all like, he knew I was the one who signed the papers to get him placed in his rehab facility. And he was like, but I forgive you. And like, I said, thank you. Like, like all those things. Right. And he was just kind of being funny. And I said, I'm working on getting permission to come and see you, because in the state of Minnesota, they have a thing. And I don't know if all states have it. They might. But in Minnesota specifically, and I'm only speaking about the state of Minnesota, is they have a thing called an essential caregiver. And I think it might have something to do with a dementia diagnosis. I'm not sure if they do it for everyone or if it's just like dementia or end of life. And so I was able to get permission to see him like during the quarantine period, even though like he didn't have COVID, right? And I knew I didn't have it, and everyone I had been around had been already received their COVID shot. So I, was kind of like, this is kind of a stupid rule, but whatever, fine. I get it. And so like, I finally, had set that up with the activities director is actually the person who's in charge of that. And so I had gotten an appointment to see her that following Wednesday, right? So this is Monday, and I was supposed to go Wednesday. And the nurse said, I'll have hospice call you tomorrow. And I was like, are we sure? Like, are we sure about this? Like, it just seems so strange, right? Because he had just, like, we were just talking, and so it was so bizarre to me, that we went from him like joking around and being all like, I know you put me in a nursing home, to all of a sudden we're on hospice. Like, it literally happened that fast. So I went there on Wednesday, and I met the activities girl, and she got me all signed in, and at that point, it didn't matter if I had a COVID test or not, because my dad was going on hospice. And so that kind of just waived everything at that point. And so I met the nurse who was in charge of hospice, and, they took me upstairs to see my dad, and he was, he was in the cafeteria kind of sleeping in his wheelchair. And, we woke him up, and I was like, how are you? And he's like, yeah, I'm good, and I could tell, like, when I saw him that it was different, right? Like, it was definitely different. And like, his arm had started to get swollen from fluid, right? Which is the heart failure, right? And I was like, oh, Dad, what are you doing to yourself? So it was really hard. So I met with a nurse, and I had to sign papers. They don't just do it. So someone had to be the asshole. So I had to sign papers to get him started. And I asked the nurse, and she's so nice. Like, I don't know if any of you know hospice people, but they are incredible. Like, I don't know like how they do what they do, right? Because you're surrounded by death all the time, and it's not just old people. And my dad wasn't even that old. My dad was 77. But like, it's not just people who are, sick and have cancer. It's kids, it's moms of young children. It's grandmas and grandpas and aunts and uncles and brothers and sisters. Like, it's just all of this, and you're surrounded by it like all the time. And I don't know how they do it, but they do. And so I asked her, I said, how long do you think he has? And she said, probably a few days, maybe a week. And I was like, okay, let's get off this flying fucked up rock then, Dad, And so we started him on his meds, and we had a great visit on Wednesday. He was telling me all these things that he wanted. He's like, this is how you know my dad's Italian. Totally thinking about food until the very end. And so he says, he wanted biscotti. I was like, okay. Oatmeal raisin cookies, M&Ms. and specifically M&Ms in a bowl. So I was gonna have to produce a bowl and full of M&Ms. And then we moved on. He wanted crab meat, and I was like, okay. And then pizza finally at the end of the day. And so I stayed with him until like dinner time, and he was getting tired. And so, they helped him get into bed, and he had a really cool bed. Like I don't even know how to describe it. It was almost like an air mattress. Like it was really cool actually, like where they could set it for like his body weight and it would change like the pressure, or whatever. And so it was kind of cool. And then the next day I came in, and by Thursday, late morning, he was already making his way off this rock. Like, he was unconscious, but he was definitely still aware that I was there. I know he could hear me, and I played the song Under the Boardwalk by the Drifters. That was like his favorite song. And I remember him like calling the radio station. You remember when you used to do that? And requesting it. And he would like dance in the kitchen to it in my house, the house that I grew up in when he was still married to my mom. So I did that. And then my dad loved the news. So I turned on the news for him. And my dad loved Fox News. And so I said, well, we're going to go out listening to Sean Hannity and Tucker Carlson, which is exactly what he would have wanted. So that's what I did. And I just sat with him, and I just kept telling him, I was like, there's nothing left for you here to do. Like, I've got everything under control, which is a big fat lie. Well, I do, but it's just, there's a process, right? And I'll talk to you guys about that. And his neighbor, his name is Chad, he came to visit us, and he sat with me for like 3 hours, and he is wonderful. And he really loved my dad. And so, we talked about stuff, and, and Chad was someone who, because he lived across the street from my dad for the last 3 years, he's really seen my dad decline. And so, he said something, he's like, I really think he was hanging on for Claire, because the last 3 years he's had some really significant things happen, and they should have killed him and they didn't. And so Chad's like, I kind of feel like he was holding on, for Claire. And so I said, you know what, I think you're probably right. And so, as the day like went on, like we had Chad as like a lay minister, and then the chaplain came in to see my dad and pray and like love on him and stuff, which was really cool and really amazing. And and so as the day kind of progressed, like it was obvious, right? Like I stayed overnight with him, so I slept with him, slept in his room with him, and just like kept telling him like, it's okay, like you can go, like there's literally nothing here, like there's nothing here. And I told him, I was like, if you see Claire or Grandma, you go with them, like do not ask for directions from a stranger, okay? Like don't fuck this up, okay? Like and so and then about 1:45 in the afternoon, my brother texted me. And neither one of my brothers do hospitals, and so, or nursing homes or anything. And so they're useless to me in a crisis, although they will do what they're told. So that's good. And my brothers are really cool guys. I don't want you guys to get the wrong impression. They're really cool guys, so, and my brother texted me, and he's like, hey, and I was like, hey, and he's like, hey, do you want to, I said, if you want to see Dad, you need to come now, because he's not, this is like literally maybe a few hours, and he's going to be gone. And so he was like, yeah, I'm thinking about it. And I said, listen, like, and I told both my brothers, I said, you don't have to come here. Like, this is not for everybody. There's never going to be any hard feelings. I'm never going to resent you for not being here. Like, it's not like that. Like, for those of you who have ever been with a loved one when they've passed, like it is a devastatingly sad and peaceful process. But it does take, I think, a unique personality to be able to sit there and just like talk to the person and let them, and just to sit there and watch it happen and kind of carry on as though like everything is okay. And even though you're literally watching this person like make their way to heaven or wherever you think people go, right? And so, yeah, so he was like, what if I come and get you and we go get something to eat? And I said, I kind of want to stay here with Dad, you know, because I don't think it'll be very much longer. And he was like, okay, that's cool, and I said, I'll just order something on DoorDash or something. And so I opened up my phone and I wanted to order from a very specific restaurant that actually is not on DoorDash. They're on this thing called Food Dudes, and I had never heard of it until I went home. But apparently it's a thing, and that's fine. And so it was like 1:58, and I looked down at my phone and I opened up the app and I said, Dad, it's lunchtime. I'm going to order something to eat. And I looked up and he was gone. It was literally that fast. Like, it was like 10 seconds and he was gone. And so, yeah, so that's what happened last week. So on Friday, March 5th, my dad made his way to the gates, and I really hope it wasn't password protected and he was standing there trying to guess the password to get in. But yeah, and then we had my dad cremated, just like we did with his wife. And so my brothers and I took care of that. And then on March 9th, I officially became the executor of my dad's estate. And so I'm just working through that stuff right now. There's just, everything takes an act of Congress to get. And it's so frustrating sometimes. And everyone's like, well, I need this piece of paper and I need that. I'm like, I watched him die. Like, why do you care? Like, where the death certificate is. Like, it's not even done yet. Like, the medical examiner has not signed off on it yet. I have the paperwork that says I'm the executor because he's dead. And you want a death certificate? Like, okay, like, come on, And even to get like the cable turned off, which was in Claire's name, like, I had to prove she was dead. And I was like, are you serious about this? Like, people actually lie about being dead to not pay the cable bill. Like, so that was a little frustrating. And then today I had a momentary setback. I was trying to set up a bank account for my dad's estate. And they were like, oh, we need a death certificate. I was like, I've got all the papers in front of me. And I'm like, the death certificate's not even ready yet, and it's like, just trying to get stuff done is like a little bit of a hassle. So, and I understand why. Like, I get it, because people are full of shit. That's why they make people like me jump through hoops, because of other people who are assholes. Like, that's pretty much where this goes, right? So anyway, I am just now waiting for my dad's death certificates to get done. And then, obviously I've mentioned before, is I live 6 hours away from where my dad lives. And so I'm going to have my mom pick them up and mail them to me. And then I'm going back up north in about 4 weeks. And we're going to get the house ready to be sold. Neighbor Chad, his wife happens to be a realtor. And she's very good. And so we actually did a quick walkthrough of the house before I left. And she was like, it's much bigger than I thought it would be. Like, from the outside, it looks pretty small. It's in a really good neighborhood. The house is older and it just needs a little bit of love, and it's structurally very sound. It just needs some cosmetic work. And I did tell her, I said, my brothers and I are not in a position financially, to invest our own money. Like, I have my own house that I just bought that I need to spend a shit ton of cash on, for new windows and stuff. And, so she was super cool about that and really understanding, and, just said, I still think we'll be able to get a really good market price for it, which is nice. My dad thankfully did not have credit card debt or anything. It's just medical. So it should be pretty easy to negotiate and settle. And then obviously I have to sell the house first, though, because that's the money, the asset, right, that will be utilized to pay off his medical debt. And there could potentially be some stuff. I don't think there will be, from his very short stay in his rehab facility. I know that Medicare should have covered the first 21 days. And then hospice is also covered by Medicare. So, like, there wouldn't have been any reason for them to be billing medical assistance or anything like that. But if there happens to be a bill, then obviously we'll get that paid. So adulting sucks. And yeah, but I took my dad's Marine Corps jacket out of the house. My dad was in the Marines. I don't know if I ever mentioned that. He was out in 65 and officially done with the reserves in like 67. So I took his jacket to the dry cleaners yesterday to have them clean it. And it's like smoky from being in the house for 30 years and, them smoking in the house. And so I did that, and I have like a bunch of his pictures and stuff and like yearbooks and, whatnot here with me. And yeah, so I'm the executor of an estate. Thankfully, it's not a lot of money. It's not $1 million. Let's just say that, because I think the more money you have, the worse it is, So my goal obviously is to just negotiate everything down and to have enough left over so my brothers and I can get reimbursed for the cremation stuff. Neither my dad nor Claire wanted to have a funeral. And I told Claire that we didn't have to do that when my dad passed, obviously not knowing that literally 5 days after I said that to her that she would be gone. So she will be placed with her family. We did find out that her mom had bought a family plot and her name is actually already on one of the headstones. So she'll go there, and then my dad will go in the veterans section of the cemetery in the town that they lived in. So we'll do that this summer because my dad is from New York. And I think his family wants to come out and kind of do a little celebration of life with us. So that's what we're going to do. I'm pretty good most of the time. I've been pretty good. It did hit me on the way home. I was in the middle of nowhere driving, and I was like, holy shit, my dad died. Like, this really happened, and unfortunately, I have the type of job that doesn't allow you time to process. Like, my job is constantly kind of there, and I'm trying to just get away from people and like have time to process like what has happened, and just, and it's a lot. And so this weekend, that is my plan, is to obviously work out tomorrow, but just take some time and like straighten up my house. Like I came in and like, I just had to like, I just dropped everything, on Wednesday night when I got here, and I was so tired. And like yesterday, I was so tired. Like I laid down at 3:30 yesterday afternoon. I was like, I have to take a nap. And so I napped until like dinner time. Then I got up and I worked for a couple hours and stuff. But yeah, but it's a lot, and I just have a lot to do, and we'll get it done. I have a year to settle the estate. And I think I could ask for an extension for any reason if something came up or whatever. But anyway, so that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing. Anyway, I'm really looking forward to getting caught up with all the drama. I've seen all the like little pop-ups of the snap, whatever the Foodie Beauty drama, and Amber Lynn is back on Jenny Craig. Like, woo, okay. Like, so yeah, I'm looking forward to doing that, and then kind of getting caught up with my channels that I really like. So Pulpy Simtax and Shakara Transformations and Young Dumb Honey Bun, among others. So anyway, I hope you guys have a fantastic Friday. It is almost springtime. We're getting there. We are in what we call the Fool's Spring right now, where last week it was like in the 60s. And, and now it's like, what is it right now? 40, which is normal for this time of year. And I think Mother Nature will probably smack us in the mouth maybe one more time with some snow in the month of March. And then the next day it'll be 70, and then it'll be summer. And then I'll be bitching to you that it's too hot in here. So just keep that in mind, because I hate summer. So anyway, all right. I love you guys. Again, talk to your parents and your siblings about what they want when they die, and get a power of attorney and do all these things that I didn't get the opportunity to do. And because my dad never thought he was going to be old and sick and die. And, it's kind of funny. Like I can kind of, joke about it. But like when I went to the probate registrar's office, I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing. And thank you, Dad, for not leaving me a will. And then I found out that it may not have even mattered if he left a will, because depending on how it would have been written, we still would have had to go to probate. And so I was like, God, like you just can't win with this stuff. But But yeah, so make sure you set enough aside enough money for your funeral so your kids don't have to pay for it. Um, and it's just money. Like I get that. Like it's not a big deal. You don't get to. And we're not Egyptian. Like we're not taking it with us when we die, right? But and talk to your family and your friends about what it is that you want, and set aside the money. You can prepay that stuff. And I understand that like cremation's not for everybody. That's totally a personal decision, and we went that route just more so out of necessity, right? Than just from a financial perspective. And I know that that sounds weird when you say it out loud, right? When you're like, oh, like, but funerals are $10,000. And so and only one of my siblings lives in the town, it was like, where were we going to put my dad until we were ready to do this, and like all this stuff. And so it's just, it can get a bit crazy. So the best gift you can give your family is to as weird as it is, especially if you're young like I am, like I'm 41, like the thought of my death is like, what, like it's you don't think about stuff like that. But get a will, put someone's name on your bank account in case you get hit by a bus. Then at least someone has access to your money, because like right now, like I can't access legally my dad's money and like to pay bills that need to be paid. And so although that is temporary and it will resolve itself, but it's just I have to jump through a lot of hoops. And I'm not blaming my dad or nor Claire for those things. It's just they just didn't plan, and they didn't want to. So all right, guys, it's been fun. I'll talk to you again soon. Take care. Bye bye.